Is it clear, very?
Yes, sir.
Screen is here.
Yeah, yes. Full screen. It is full screen. We can see.
So good morning to everybody. Today I'm going to introduce you a new subject called Patinformatics, technology management. Terms bioinformatics, chem informatics, and so on. More word here vocabulary. It is basically coined from patent and informatics, abbreviated as Patinformatics. Before we start main topic, I'll go to the basics. What is a patent? A lot of people have misconceptions about patent. They've got the patent, so they got the monopoly, they can do whatever they want, they got all the rights, nobody can touch them, touch their invention. So let us, what does the patent give you? It is granted to inventors to prevent unauthorized use of an invention within a particular territory for a limited time. Right, you get. Words which are made red, they are very important part of this. Territory and time. All you are getting is a right to somebody from using your invention. This does not say you have a right to practice your invention. So it does not have any guarantee that you have freedom to exploit your own invention. This you can stop others. Why it is so shortly? It is not a positive right because it's only saying you can stop others. Now your positive right gets restricted by previous patents. The patent, somebody else, technology or product area, patents before you. He got a right to stop others. He also got a right to stop others. And you are included. If I ask you who invented the light bulb, audience always replies to me, Thomas Edison. Edison did not invent the light bulb. Edison brought the bulb to the market. 10 years before that, another gentleman, Henry Woodward, had invented the light bulb and had taken the patent. Disadvantage of Woodward's patent was filament used to get burned in few minutes. If your filament goes off in few minutes, you can't have a commercial product. But once the patent was published, people had a look at it. It's invention it is. It will not affecting industry. Working on different materials, different processes. They got the patents and succeeded in having a tungsten filament which lasted. The filament lasted for 1500 hours. Now it was possible to make a light bulb. And it got the patent. Now, can Edison make the light bulb? Answer is no. It did not invent the light bulb. Edison's invention lies in the light bulb was conceptualized as a product by the Henry Woodward. So Edison cannot. In that happens, there are two options. Edison goes to Woodward and takes a license because Woodward's patents now prevent Edison from making light bulb. Or Woodward takes a license from Edison and incorporates tungsten filament into his bulb. Edison went and took a license from Woodward and then commercialized the product. Since Edison was the first person who brought the bulb to the market, his name got associated with bulb. Henry Woodward never came to the market, so nobody knows about him. So he did not get that publicity, although he was the inventor. This is called free. This is most important. Patents are licensed, are practiced. Even your own patent, if you are practicing, you need to undertake this exercise. You may be infringing upon other people's patent. Because all of us do technological innovations based on existing body of knowledge. There are already a prior art which we advance. So you have to ensure that you do not infringe other people's patent, otherwise they will come and sue you. We will touch upon it little later again. This is an important part of the patent right. A lot of people don't understand. Second is patents are territorial. Who grants your patent? Government grants your patent. The government of India cannot grant you a right which you go and exercise in the United States. Similarly, a US government cannot give you a right which you can go and exercise in Japan. So in whichever country you get the patent, your patent is restricted to that geographical boundary. An Indian patent has no other countries. Similarly, a foreign patents have no force in India unless they have applied in India, unless you have applied in other countries. Then only patent is enforceable. Again, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of SMEs come, I tell them, look, here is a US patent, but they do not have corresponding. Exploit that, provided you ensure that this product doesn't go to United States, because then you'll be infringing. That is an important part. Third is patent right has a life. That used to vary from country to country. It was 14 years in India, 17 years United States. But patent granting is a semi-judicial process. So a lot of people who are in regulated industry, like food, pharmaceutical, pesticide, where you require a regulatory approval before you introduce the product. Just having patent is not sufficient. Time in those regulatory trials. So if they get the patent up and then regulatory trials take 5 years, then they have lost the 5 years of their patent validity. So they used to delay this process. The governments wanted to plug this loophole. In US, average time to get a patent was 3 years, so US proposed 17 plus 3, 20 years, which world accepted it in the WTO meeting. So it is uniformly now 20 years from the date of application. After that, it is free for anyone. Most important part, which is for lecture today, all patent applications are published after 18 months from the date of application. Please mute yourself. Participants, please. Applications are published after 18 months from the date of application, irrespective of whether you get the patents or you don't get the patent. If you get the patents, your protection starts from the date of application, and if you sue somebody, and that compensation will be retrospectively from the date of application. The patent, all your information is in public domain. So why are patents granted? People they are granted to give monopoly to inventors. See, society to develop come to the public domain. Gets built brick by brick. When we do PhD research, somebody working with our guide, which is what brings to a particular level, so take it from there and take it to the next level. The next PhD person comes, he takes it to further level. So the new knowledge has to come to the public domain. If Woodward's patent was not published, there would not have been an ADC. The history of any product or any technology. You find somebody started, other people added, and at a particular point of time, things are optimized, complementary technologies are available, and somebody commercialized. But that fellow person built upon everybody's knowledge. Knowledge does not come to the public, all this will not happen. Thus, to return to ourselves, we are running energy, so we want to ourselves. We want to disclose, we don't want to put it into public domain. Contracting demands of the knowledge. The funding system was devised as a compromise between those two extreme positions. Where society said, that for the next 20 years, nobody is able to commercially use it. You maximize your returns in that time, while development and advancement of knowledge can go on. Rights are granted in return for the inventor's full disclosure of technology to the public. You write a specification document describing your full invention. Right to prevent others from practicing your invention. In exchange, the government ensures that information regarding the invention is publicly disclosed, is available for anybody's use after the expiration of the patent. Social contract. The whole basic purpose of patenting system is giving the new knowledge to the public. Only rights is a corollary of that. The basic is we must bring new knowledge so that it can take place, further inventions can take place. So what it does, vast repository of vital information. More than 100 plus million patent documents are in public domain. Knowledge is growing very rapidly. A single patent office like US Patent Office issues more than 5,000 patents every week. Every Monday, their server is uploaded. Those 5,000 plus patents which have been issued in previous week. So on a Tuesday morning, when you see those like yesterday morning, on a Monday night, US Patent Office issued last week were uploaded. In a single patent office. Not all European countries, France, Germany, UK, and all that. Talk about Japan, Korea, China. You have 2 to 3 million patent document every year. Artists, it is not published anywhere else. And we are hung up on papers. only papers, we are only looking at 30% of new knowledge, the major body of knowledge. I know as an academic, we want to do basic research. 70% of knowledge, you get wonderful ideas to do your basic research. Because who write patents are by to find solutions to the problem. They're more interested in getting the job done than how it does it. And if you pick up those ideas, you can do wonderful science behind that, seeing how to. So not only new knowledge for the solutions, new knowledge for what prior building up, but also get ideas to do your basic research. Another beauty is for last 25 years, thanks to advancement in information and communication technology, to the worldwide patent insurance. All these scientific journals, which all our institutions will subscribe, every institution spends crores of rupees. And it's free. You can sit anywhere in your at railway station, at airport, at your home. Your mobile is sufficient for you to access this patent information. And we are not using, or people even who are using, are underutilizing this resource which is freely available. If you have seen a patent document, have read a patent document, you get there is from the description and drawing of the invention, fully disclose legal information from the patent claims, which define the scope of the patent and what is currently is expired, whatever it is. Information, who's the assigning, that is, who's the owner, where it is filed, where it is filed, and so on. This technical content and related legal and business information has many commercial applications as far as technology is concerned. What has happened, internet had made access to this very easy. So everybody, their patent database on the web. The first company, they used to maintain US patent database internally.
Chicken
When the internet came, they uploaded that on the web. It was called IBM patent server. And it got later on converted into a startup company called Delphion, and then acquired by another big company. US Patent Office followed it by putting all the patents in the first phase, which were issued from 1975 onward, backward, and uploaded images of all the patents from 1790 to 1975. So 1790 is when was US patent was issued. If you go to US patent website, patent from 1790 to the October of 2020, whatever been issued so far. Each patent office has a very nice. You go to UK patent office, you get UK patents. Indian patent office is Indian patent database. Patent office has gone ahead and created a worldwide patent database. So available on the web. Now, since they are available, a lot of software tools have been developed. You get the information you want to play upon. All this availability of databases and software leads to new science of analyzing pattern information. Relationships and trends that are working with document on one-to-one basis. If you're looking at a single patent document, you are looking at a single invention. When you hundreds and thousands of patent documents, you are able to see the relation with technology, the relationship in organizations, are able to see trends, temporal trends, or how they evolve, goes, technology, how it evolves, which direction it is taking, what applications, products, so what markets are getting developed. You look at a single patent document. Citation analysis, pattern mapping, pattern intelligence. And this is what is called Patinformatics. Citations. Again, as an academic, citations. So, we talk about so many citations, highly cited papers. In the case of patents, if you have a patent document, describe the prior art, down to the invention, describe it, present patents, and invention. So, earlier patents gives between the technical content of your invention and the relationship with the previous known technology. Patent is also equally important than highly cited patent because it's relevant. In any particular area, if you start going back, you will finally end up to the same pattern which started the whole area. And if your patent has citations, number of times more in a short period of time, it has significance. If your invention is disruptive, is significant, interesting people in the business feel threatened. As a strategy, they start looking at lacunae of your pattern, shortcomings of your pattern, and start inventing around gaps to have some will later on bargain. Otherwise, stop there. So anytime inventing around means your pattern is important. I don't want to waste time, money, energy to do inventing around. Like Edison's, who looked that gap that your filament doesn't last forever. So that is an opportunity. So that is why I say read the patent document. You'll get opportunity to find areas worth inventing. Shortcomings, pioneering patterns like Henry Woodward's, opportunity to invent and come back with something worthwhile, commercially viable. When we are doing technology management, how we can use this information? First and foremost is R&D management. See, whenever we do research, because we are excited by something, we get certain ideas. But we must find out what already exists. That idea has only occurred to you. The thought has only occurred to you. Be a monopoly on ideas. Go and look at the patterns and find out what already exists. What they have covered, what we call of art and are an IP landscape. The word horticulture or we say it looks like this. So we say this is how the pattern landscape looks like this. 1,000 patterns, we then cluster them, say cover these aspects. So you build down that existing body of knowledge knowing what it is. To go to pattern databases, read all those patterns, read, cluster, categorize them, what are the lacunae, and then start building it on. We're trying to solve the problem. We have an approach in our mind. The problem in any given areas of technology are people who work. But if it starts thinking of a solution based on his based experience. Given a problem, different people think in a different way and an approach to solve that problem. An entirely different way of looking. A biologist has another way of looking. An engineer has a different way of looking. Different discipline people will look at different document. See different approaches people have taken to solve that problem. And then you can compare your approach of others. If unique it is, will it cost effective? And will it find acceptance? Having done that, then you can get your process or product lines. You will find people have already tried and succeeded, which means reinvent the wheel. You will find people have tried and failed. Pattern, we are going to walk the failure path again. You will solve the problem which people have faced. Enables you which are not worthwhile. That's why I'm saying it improves R&D allocation. You must pick the winners and avoid the losers. You can technologies. What are facing technologies? Basically retard or accelerate the growth of a particular sector. Talking about mobility, the limitation of the energy storage. So battery technology is most important critical element there. It becomes a pacing technology as far as electric mobility is concerned. So you can use specific technology if you look at those patterns and then work on focus your energies. When you look hundreds and thousands of patterns, You become aware of inventive ideas. Keep on saying hundreds and thousands of patents because the amount of innovation that goes on in the world is unprecedented. Yeah, and how many patents are there on a washing machine? Give me a household washing machine for the clothes. What is it? Any participant tell me? Some estimate a number of patents on that washing machine. Anybody?
More than 100.
Okay. Any other guesstimate? Anybody?
2000, sir.
Every month there are 300 patents issued on a washing machine. And we have analyzed those patents for 7 years. So we are talking about 3,600 patents every year. For 7 years, you're talking about more than 20,000 patents. Now you'll say, what is there in washing machine? There's a drum, there's a motor, there's a control system put into a rectangular box. And we are talking about 20,000 patents in 7 years. There is a level of inventive activity which goes on in the world, unprecedented, and we don't realize. So I'm saying you become aware of large amount of inventive ideas. You get waterless washing machine, you get steam washing, you get ozone treatment washing machine, you get all kind of things. Now, why I'm doing 20,000 pattern analysis? It's not a joke. To read document, pattern document reading takes a lot of time. The language is techno-legal. You take time to decipher, analyze. Obviously, somebody has to be interested, otherwise I'm not going to waste my time. Who is my customer? Another guess. Yeah, can anybody guess who is interested in those patents for whom I am doing this? Yes? Okay. Which kind of manufacturer?
Sir, it will be depend on the sector wise.
Tell me. I'm asking you to
Sir,
guess.
if it's related to technology, then probably those who are interested in technology, they will have a look and read. If it's related to biotechnology, to those who have an interest towards biotechnology, they will probably go and have a look.
No, I'm talking about this washing machine.
Sir, washing machine probably the nowadays, because the washing machine is already in place. So those who want to enhance the quality of the washing machine and the sales, certainly they will have a look. So probably the manufacturers will have a look on the washing machine's patent.
My customer is world's #1 detergent manufacturer. Detergent formulation depends on the configuration of the machine. You go to the market, you have different formulation for top loading and the front loading. This guy is #1 and wants to remain as #1. Does not want to get displaced from that position. So he wants to constantly monitor what is happening to the washing machine. In his R&D center which I visited, in a big hall, there are 50 washing machines. Keeps on trying formulations on all those. So looking at development, he wants to see what formulations to develop, what new technology is coming in, which direction it is going. So he wants to remain there as #1. This technology monitoring is a continuous process. On a monthly basis, those 300 patterns are analyzed, report this. We're able to identify significant new thrusts in the technical direction. We can spot new assignment. You're a manufacturer in particular area, let's say I'm a chemist, so I make particular chemical competitors. All of a sudden, one fellow has a biotechnological route, which is cleaner, which is cost effective. Or all of a sudden, some startup sitting in some IIT or NIT. If I'm continuously monitoring, I can identify both the trends. A new assignee, there is a startup somewhere sitting somewhere, or my existing competitor who has taken a new direction. See, you have to spot these trends early in the game. If you are waiting for a competitor to come to the market and then you are going to take a notice of that development, you have lost the race. Because it's another 5 to 7 years' time till you catch up. Because that competitor has already spent that time to come to the market. Capture this early in the game. And people keep it confidential till the product comes to the market. The only source of information you is a patent document because that is filed early. And only time lag for you is that 18 months before it is made public. You can check infringement. You are a Henry Woodward and there is a Thomas Edison doing some a patent product. He is infringing your patent. Now you need to, if he doesn't come to you for a licensing, you issue him a notice saying, guy, your invention. So you can protect your IP. All of us write a patent, it is in our biodata, and then we forget. We forget, institution forgets. It is mentioned in annual report. What happens to our patent, we don't know. We'll come to that again later. When you do this, you are able to see a technology position of major players. I told you on the first day. Today, no company can keep all the technology at the cutting edge. So everybody focusing on few core capabilities and maintaining those few core capabilities at the cutting edge. The rest of technologies are acquired wherever they are available based in the world. Now, how do you identify where are they available? Obviously, patent database and see who has taken the patent. And if you want to look at core capabilities of the company, you get to see, characterize high and low growth technology for your competitors. It tells you what core capabilities they are focusing on. You can characterize an emerging technology. But everybody talks about nanotechnology. Right from drug delivery, your engines, coatings, and blades, whatnot. Now, who are the guys working in nanotechnology? What products are they trying to develop? For what markets? What kind of end applications? If you do a detailed study, you see the early success of nanotechnology in personal care products. When you keep on tracking personal care, you find questions are being raised about their toxicity. This kind of analysis you can do in two ways. Focusing only on the company, take a particular company, look at all their patents, irrespective of what technologies are involved. Or you can take a particular technology, look at all the patents, irrespective of which companies are involved. Let us look at 2018 US patent leaders. I also have a table for 2019 which is not here. First 10 top people from the US patents. IBM at the top, 9,118. 19 they got 9,300 patents. Samsung number 25850, currently there are about 6,000 patents. Canon, Intel, LG. Same story gets repeated. These are the people who got highest year in the United States. So when we are talking about 9,000 patents in 1 year to IBM, we are talking about close to 60, 65 patents per day to the company in a single day. We are American companies, 3, 4, 5. This worries the US government. Out of top 10 in the US patents, 5 and 6 are non-American companies. That tells you technology leadership of US is eroding and fulcrum is shifting to Southeast Asia. Japanese, Korean, and now Chinese entering into that. And that is how governments utilize pattern information to make policy. We support innovation policy, industrial policy. IBM remained number one today now for more than 28 years. Nobody is able to dispute. Samsung is close to them 10 to 15 years. This is a study we did in 2011 when IBM years of their patent. So 18 plus another 10 years, 28 years, number one. Patent was 1911, and you can see last 30 years, volume has gone up. Patent of 1911, I don't know, all of you are young people, so the first generation of we cards which used to be fed to the machine, those cards used to punch. One of that punch. Compare IBM versus their key competitors. Even in 2011, when they had 6,000 plus patents, 76% of their patent had to do with software and services. So it told you that IBM is moving towards the no longer going to be a hardware company. It was when started was purely a hardware company. But 10 years back itself, when 70% of your IP is software and services, so it tells you what is the focus of the company and where it is moving. If you similarly looked at Philips' patent at that point of time, it clearly told you Philips is going to get out of consumer electronics. Whole Philips portfolio was on medical, imaging, and so on. That gave you a direction of the company where it is going. As you know today, Philips is not in consumer electronics. You get the Philips products, but they are not the Philips products. The Philips has been sold to other companies. In India, Videocon has acquired Philips rights. So when you buy a Philips product in the market, you are basically buying a Videocon product. They bought that business from Philips, so they are allowed to use their trade name. It tells you where the company is going to move in time to come. Then you compare what their competitors are, where they stand. All their competitors are much lower. What IBM is doing? Now, what you see here on the right hand side are certain code numbers. Technology has been codified in system. So each technology has been given a code number. Each product has a code number. So when you say electric fan, it has a code number. This tells you the technology areas in which IBM has patents. And green are the major areas, and then there are 5 years' time in different technology areas. How does the IBM patent portfolio look like? What are the red and green? This is red. Data processing system or method adopted for administrative, commercial, financial, managerial purposes. This is green. Processing computers in which a part of the computation is effectively, hydraulically, or numerically, optically computer system. You can get further into details in that each technical area over the top assigned. How does their patent portfolio look like? So you can keep going down to the details you want. Look at Samsung. Samsung also has that red, blue, and green, 3 major areas, and then there are the instrumentation, computer, and so on. Now, this is important. Take a minute to read this. So, what are we seeing? Number one company and number two company are licensing each other. The competitors, what are written in the red is important. Have patents in the same technology areas. They infringe each other at the periphery. Now, if they influence each other, they will destroy each other. So, arrangement to peacefully coexist and prosper. See, it is like street bullies. When they fight, they know they will get into gang war and they will kill members from each side. So they say, okay, let us call a peace. You keep your area, I keep my area. But Samsung was not there 15 years ago. Samsung has arrived. And IBM is taking note of that and respecting the strength of Samsung. If Samsung was a small company, IBM will not bother, will crush it. Microsoft is biggest world's infringer of the patents. Microsoft's competition comes from small innovative companies, from 4, 5 young engineers, a small company, they develop something. Microsoft just infringes. They know that these small companies have no wherewithal, financial power to fight a powerful guy like Microsoft. Out of 100, couple of guys may stand up and fight. Microsoft just buys them up. For a young engineer, getting few $1 billion is quite an achievement. So they give it. So this is a significance in this for us in India. 80% of patents in India are filed by foreigners. Those guys are building their portfolios. So days not going to be far off when next Nano will not be driven out of Tata Motors gate. Fords and General Motors of this world is going to enforce those patents. Going to say, hold on, you are infringing our IP. Already Mahindras have been sued by Ford in US because Mahindra has taken their Jeep, one of those products, to the US. So today all those engineers in IP department of Tata Motors they look at that freedom to operate. Like here it clearly says, this cross-licensing agreement enables the two companies to innovate and operate freely. So those IP engineers in Tata Motors keep on looking at, do they have freedom to operate in the part of existing patents. So we need to focus, we need to develop our IP portfolio so that we are able to fight the next trade war. See, in the free world, IP is a non-tariff trade barrier. When I say non-tariff, under the tariff, we used to charge higher import duties, we used to put quota restriction. Because of WIPO, WTO agreements, free trade, you can't do that. IP is going to be barrier. IBM 75%. So you get to see a valuable insight into the area of diversification. You look at IBM portfolio, you see a significant, means quite a good number of patents in life sciences. You wonder, computer hardware and software company, what it is doing in life sciences? Human genome being decoded, genomic analysis requires high computing power. IBM has that computing power. And today we are talking about personal medicine based on genomic analysis. That is next frontiers of medical science. When it arrives, IBM holds a finger in the pie. Therefore, those life science patents. There was a time we were looking at a Japanese company called Ube Cement Company. A typical cement company operating on limestone and coke. When you produce coke, and when you produce cement by burning coke, you let out carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Japan has very strict pollution control laws. It has to be zero emission. You're not allowed to emit anything, that's it. This cement company looked at carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide as a resource. and built a portfolio of patents which is called C1 chemistry. C1 because there's a single carbon atom in carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. The world leader in C1 chemistry are German companies, Bayer and BASF. During the Second World War, when world stopped all the supplies to Germany, Germany survived by producing explosion everything from the coke. So German companies have technology leadership going back to Second World War, BASF and Bayer. So BASF and Bayer will never look at a cement company as their competitor unless they look at the patents, monitor them. So you get valuable insight. So today when the German and Japanese companies, 70% of their revenue is from the cement chemistry. So no longer is a cement company. You get to see a technology health of the firm and their intellectual core capabilities. Especially when people collaborate as partners, they look at what do you have in your portfolio. You get to see a structure of the industry. Let us take the case of optical fibers. We look at the patents in 70s, you see patents on synthesis of optical fiber, right from raw material silica, which is sand. In 80s, most of the patents are on components, couplers, and so on. In 90s, most of the patents are on integration. So what does it tell you? It tells you technology is maturing and getting into the marketplace. Otherwise, why will people talk about integration? Then you will see only an optical fiber, few people making components, few people integration. There will be a couple of guys right from starting from silica are giving you a complete integrated solution. So you get to see the whole structure of the industry. Who's doing what and where he is. So you are operating in that particular technology area. You know who the players are, what they are doing. If you need to talk to whom you should go and talk to. This kind of company focus analysis also identifies you for technology leaders, joint venture partners, or even for merger and acquisition. It is regularly done. Today, government is putting a lot of money in solar energy. So, for two Indian corporates who wanted to get into solar energy, and solar energy is a long drawn affair. Research, particularly, Indian companies do not have that patience. So, they wanted to acquire companies which already have an IP portfolio, which can be commercialized. By doing this kind of analysis, we identified a German company. Germany is very strong in solar research. And company took a lot of time to make a decision. In the meanwhile, the company which we had identified got acquired by somebody else. The fact that it got acquired by somebody else, which means our analysis was right about the selection of the company. All this does is reduces your uncertainty and investment risk. For a period of time, you accumulated patents. Patenting does involve money. If you are doing we are investing so much, what are we getting out of it? When corporates ask this question, I put a counter question. I say Reliance is paying X number of crores for their refinery in Java. What are they getting out of it? Reliance is paying that money to cover the risk. Investment in IP is also risk coverage. If you don't invest in IP, you may be sued by somebody tomorrow for infringing their IP. Your business can be brought to the halt. There have been companies who have gone bankrupt because of such suit. So investment in IP is also a risk mitigation strategy. But keeping that risk mitigation apart, there is an investment. Like buying shares. You buy shares not to keep them in cover. You want some returns there. The question is, what do you do with them? Value of patent is not in the patent itself. Value of patent is always in relation to other patents in that area. What do other patents cover? What is the scope of those patents? What protection they provide? Besides value of your patent. Which means what? Go back to patent databases, analyze those patents. And that helps you to decide what commercializing choices should you have. Should you license it out? Should you sell? The difference between sell and license, people get confused. I have a house. I give it on rent to you. All I'm saying is, I allow you to use my house. I'm still the owner of the house. I sell the house to you, which means I have exhausted all my rights. I have no right to even enter that house anytime, unless I come and take your permission. Selling and licensing is same. When I'm licensing, I'm allowing you to use my technology. I'm still owner of the technology. If I sell, which means I give you all the rights, I do not have right to even practice my own technology, unless I take your permission. Then develop or discard technologies. Why discard? There are sectors the technology changes very fast. Look at your smartphone. How many phones have you changed in 5 years? I have my own Nokia phone. And I was giving free to my servant's daughter. That girl refused to take it. Yes, you can do WhatsApp on that. The customer doesn't want it. Now, if your technology is moving at such a speed, after 5 years it has no value in the market, nobody wants it. Why do you want to maintain those patents? Keep on money spending on those patents. Discard those. You can identify valuable patents, product areas, or even spin off opportunities. You did research at a particular point of time for a particular purpose. Today, in the changed circumstances, it has some new applications, new markets. A number of cases. Right, today we are talking about COVID. Remdesivir, which is being given to everybody, was research done for Ebola virus. At that point in time, when it was clinically tried, a competent molecule from somewhere else won the race. Remdesivir lost. Today in COVID, Gilead Sciences have resurrected Remdesivir. In worldwide, it's being used. 4,000 rupees a vial. Vigara was a drug given for a different purpose. The side effect is what is being exploited today. Identify potential technical customers. Output of your products, output of your technology is input for somebody else. And people keep on building on that. Talk to them early in the game. Maybe you can do jointly development. You can have vendor there as a vendor supplier relationship. Whatever you want to do. If you identify them early, you have an advantage. Techno-legal studies. You have an invention. You want to file a patent. And you need to see the patenting requirements are met or not. Is it novel? Is it non-obvious? Is there some utility? Now, how do you find? Is it novel? Non-obvious. You see prior art. Means you look at all the patents. This is regularly done before patent is filed. Patents are issued on the presumption that they are valid. The validity of the patent can be challenged anytime during those 20 years. All these pharma fights which you read in newspaper, Ranbaxy versus Pfizer, Lupin versus Merck, Cadila versus somebody, all these are validity fights. Indian companies are generic companies. Under the US law, there are certain provisions where the generic producer gets 6 months of exclusivity after the patent expires. And those companies sue them. Whenever you are sued for infringement, the strategy is to challenge the validity of the patent. I sue you for infringing my patent. You in turn will challenge validity of my patent, saying your patent is not valid. Giving some grounds, etc. And I've seen American companies at that point in time scouting patent as well as non-patent literature. The professor works in that area. Look at those theses and his papers. Yes, professors have propensity to publish. You find a single paper, you say here is prior art, which was in public domain. We did once a report of the Reddy's, Pfizer patents are being challenged. Our report ran in 2000 pages. So for validity, again, you go back to patent database and freedom to operate. I already explained to you the concept of freedom to operate. So you will do a claim by claim analysis to see is there any claim of any issued patent which is get infringed by your product. So you do a prior art search, identify critical patents, looking for novelty, non-obviousness. In all that require technical backup. Further, court battles are fought by lawyers, and the technical people who look at the database. You'll get surprised. Patent database Companies, players, new technologies deployed, and they are looking for prolific inventors. Where do we find them? Patents is an important source. They are listed there as inventors. Identify them, track their scientific career. Done. Where they worked, what research have done, what is their employment record. Basic objective is target them for employment. Academic researcher in the academic institutions or in a research institute, hire them as a consultant. You look at their students, where students pick up the skills. I remember we had a senior research fellow named Subodh Shah. One day he got a call from Genentech, which is world's #1 biotech company. At that point of time, PDF in US was $2,000. This is $24,000 a year. He had a telephonic interview and offer of $50,000, double the amount of market price. Because he had one very, very important patent to his credit. He went and joined them. We get a request saying we want to work in this area, develop a product which involves ionic gels. We are looking for expertise. Analysis, find out a Japanese professor, 150 publications and 70 patents. He's a guy to go to. We had a company who said our competitors have developed a technology and we know they do not have capabilities. We want to know where this technology has come from. Competitor had 15,000 patents. What is 4,500 were in that technology area. We realized 4,500, we discover they have gone and tied up with a startup company and academic institution and develop the technology. So don't get surprised if some headhunter comes after you because you have good patent. Patents, this information is used extensively for HR. I know you are mostly in engineers. Chemistry may not be your forte. So I'm not going to teach you chemistry, but I want to give you an example which has some messages. And this example was my first experiment with Patinformatics. So I love to talk about it. Accident. Urine carbide used to make a pesticide product called carbaryl. That was a technical name, and the commercial name was Suvan. And one day in that factory, there was an accident resulting into the confirmed death, at least officially confirmed death of 10,000 persons. The real number is high. They used to make product, material ABC. We are not talking chemistry, just an example. ABC. You have two ways to do it. Take the A and B, and you get an intermediate called methyl isocyanate. React that with A, and you get a product. And second, you do other way around. Take A, B, get an intermediate reactant C. The first you take B and C. You don't have to follow the. So one accident in the intermediate tank. Now this chemistry is very common for a group of pesticides. The second product is widely used in India called Furadon, made by rallies. In all paddy fields they use it. Third product all of us use in home, Baygon. Products, you change the A and you get different products. So all pesticide manufacturers who in this range use this chemistry. Polyurethanes. We see polyurethanes all around, including our chair and the polyurethane foam. Foams, polyurethane rigid, polyurethane flexible, polyurethane insulation, which is in our fridge, everywhere. Polycarbonates. We see those transparent polycarbonate sheets. We see polycarbonate bottles, feeders, baby feeders, so on. So large amount of products and technologies use this kind of chemistry. Once the accident happened, nobody in the world wanted another accident on their hands. Major company in the world started doing research. Can you can we avoid isocyanate? But in CL, the work was started. Then one day, scientists had a breakthrough and an alternative process to make it. Applied and got the US patent. They started jumping with the joy. My group are always responsible for techno-commercial evaluation. They were excited, but we were not excited. Scientists were very angry. At that time, our director was Dr. Michelle. This scientist had all the decoration, fellow of all the three academies, all the honors which you can get in scientists in this country. He said, these young people don't understand and appreciate the elegance of chemistry, what we have done. Dr. Mashalka called me in the evening and said, why are you so angry? I said, sir, who's customer of your product? Customer of your product is a farmer. He goes to the store, buys a can, puts the can into his sprayer, and starts spraying. Union Carbide sells this product for 130 rupees a kg. If you put number on this chemistry which has been patented, the number comes to 600 rupees. Now to this farmer, you're going to say that you made this pesticide in a very safe process. So now he should pay 4 times the price. The safety of the process is in your plant. As a user, it doesn't affect him in the field. It doesn't bother him. So he's not going to pay you 4 times the price for an attribute which he doesn't derive benefit from. He will at the most spend 150 rupees, buy an alternate pesticide which may be more toxic. They went back, developed another process, another US patent. We said not good enough. They went back, developed a third process, and came back to us. Made a look. We realized they reached the limits of chemistry. What I mean by limits of chemistry is this phosgene, the B molecule is highly reactive, gives you 100% conversion, 100% yield. Anything else you can't match it. And obviously each technology has limitations. So we realized they reached the limits. So we wondered, chemistry is universal. If we are reaching the limits of chemistry, everybody must reach the limits of chemistry. patents. 44 patents are already issued. Look at the Bayer, DuPont, Monsanto, who is who of the chemical world? We analyze all 44 patents. Again, we'll not get into chemistry. It basically approaches, which means a particular approach more than one company was working. All 5 approaches. Reaching the limits of chemistry. People started asking a fundamental question. Why didn't happen? Accident happened, water entered into the isocyanate tank. The next question is, do you store isocyanate? Deep thought. Answer is no. An existing process so that isocyanate, as it is formed, it is consumed to the next step. You don't have to store there. There's in situ generation of isocyanate. So people solved that problem that way. Now, if you don't look at this, you are happy, you have US patent, it is in your biodata, it is institutional annual report. But nobody wants that patent. We told our scientists, why you want to make carbaryl? That pesticide. Urine carbide making carbaryl is fine. Attention to propoxol, that is Baygon. Baygon sells for 1400 rupees a kg. For a 1400 rupees product, a 600 rupees chemistry will work. So they shifted their focus to Baygon, and then we signed up an Indian company to develop a process. People like Santo, when we were analyzing these patterns, on our patent committee was a polymer chemistry head. We started this research work on, say, insecticide. Happening in polymer, we in polycarbonate. 2 patents on polycarbonate, which we licensed to GE. GE is a world leader in polycarbonate. And again, 5-year collaboration with GE. The purpose of telling this story is, if you don't learn this, what we learned. We would that US patent and we did a tom-tom, we would have said this, safer process, blah, 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 blah. But that patent would have had no success in the marketplace. I'll stop here because I take a lot of time. I have not left time for you to question, although I have case studies and lots to show, but there's not enough time. So I'll stop. Is that, pattern analysis leads to a lot of success. It is the way you do literature search, you have to do pattern search and analysis. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
To the participants, if you have any question directly, you can ask.
Sir, I have a question.
Please.
How do we address the parallel imports and stuffs like that, sir?
See, a parallel imports is an issue. Do more
Because
in
the
the trade issues. See,
patent
parallel imports happen because there is price difference. Each company has a different pricing system for each country. Depends upon the local condition, local competition. So a Korean TV will cost you in Dubai market 5,000 rupees, but India it may cost you 10,000 rupees. So you want to bring. Now it
And
has
one more
nothing to
thing
do with
which I want.
technology. It technology. Parallel import has to do with the trade issues, competition, and so on.
How can that be related to patented products? For example, just a random thought. I have patented a product here, maybe in Indian territory.
Yeah.
A person from maybe the nearby country has bought the product from their country and enters in for a sale here.
Yes.
How do we address this?
No, I tell you what, that you are now getting officially suppose that product through a trade
Yeah.
channel. Then
Yeah.
the original owner objects. Then what happens? He has priced in India for a different price point. And
Right.
from a neighboring country, you are basically killing his pricing. So what he says is that I have not officially sold it. Now, under the trade IP, which is patent as well as a trademark. Trademark I have not addressed here because trademark is a different subject by itself. You are still selling it. Now he's saying I have not
But
introduced this product in market.
no, sir. The question is, a product X has been patented by me in India.
Yes.
The same product X, a person is buying it from the neighboring country where I have not patented in. He is buying it in bulk and coming back to India and selling it at maybe a lesser cost or whatever it is.
But
How
in
do
India
I
you
address
have
this?
patent. See, in India you have patent. You can enforce your patent
Yeah.
against it.
Acha, I
Yes,
can enforce, right?
where it is produced, it is being sold here.
Yeah.
Right to stop, manufacture, sale, and even use.
Okay. But since he has bought it from there, then even then I can sue him for the infringement,
Yeah,
right?
very much. Because
Okay.
you have not given the right. Have you given the right to the neighboring country to make it?
No, rather than I have not patented it there. I have patented
But
it
not
only in India.
see, you have patented in India.
I might have given to the nearby country because there's one.
No, no, just listen to me. You have patented in India, so you
Yes.
can stop anybody in India to manufacture, sell, use.
All right.
So
And the black
it is
markets.
it is infringement of your right in India, irrespective
Uh,
of where it is made, where it is bought.
okay. Okay.
So therefore, I'm asking you. You are not giving legal right to somebody to make it. See, once you give a right to make, then it is called a principle of patent exhaustion. You
Right.
say the right to enforce,
Hmm.
but you're not given license to him. So the question of exhaustion doesn't arise.
Okay. The question of exhaustion doesn't have rights, is what you said, but he has bought it there, and I have lost the first exhaustion. No, sir. He has bought those products there.
No, no, the
So my
question is that's why I'm asking you, did you give a license to neighboring country to make it?
yes, but patent
Yes.
is only with India, Indian territory.
Now the question is then the person then who has given you the license fees, he has
Mhm.
given you for a right which he doesn't exist unless you gave him the know-how.
Okay.
Patent licensing is another lecture I can give. What are you licensing? Are you
Mm,
patent license? Are you giving the know-how to somebody?
mm.
No, I have to see what right have you given to the neighboring country.
Acha.
And did you put it? See, you condition that you're not allowed to re-export.
Okay. Okay. That can be one of the clause that is added in the
Plus, when you
license.
are given a right to that guy, what right
Okay.
to him? See, if you gave him
Oh.
a right to make, sale, and all that,
Mm,
and a fellow purchases, then he exhausts his right in that country.
mm.
So it's a terms and conditions agreement.
Okay. So it has to be clear when you
The
make an.
manufacturer in the neighboring country, and if I have capability to reproduce your invention, I'll not take a license from you.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, is there any policy which Indian government is looking forward to put this patenting subject in engineering college, sir, or it is yet to come, sir?
AICT has already made a recommendation saying as one subject is taught. In all other postgraduate master's degree courses in science, it is a subject already there. Even IIT system, it is an elective course. But AICT
Okay, sir.
chairman has told me that they are introducing this as a subject. Now, to make it elective or compulsory, I don't know, but they do that.
And sir, my second one more question, sir, with respect to the point which you have said, some that other countries they can come coming in India and making a patent,
Yeah.
registering for a patent. So, sir, this will give more advantages, or it will be disadvantage for Indians?
So you see, an international agreement, even Indian company to file. So if you are allowed to file in US, across the world, anybody can file patent anywhere as long as they meet. So people
Okay, sir.
are doing research today. There are global markets, so you can't say that you can't patent in India.
But sir, but we can impose some sort of instruction or rules and regulation so that it may be somewhat difficult, or it will be incorrect, sir.
No, it is not fair because then tomorrow you develop a technology, they will not allow you to protect. So you will not get international markets. If you can't get export markets, how you will survive? You need those dollars to import your oil. You need dollars to import all your mobile phones.
Oh,
You need to internationally trade. International trade will be only possible if you have free trade.
okay, sir.
You
Thanks, sir.
can't be protectionist in that sense.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, this is with respect to new technology companies like Tesla and all, who are their patent, they are giving it in open source and allowing the any company to come and replicate the product so that the competitiveness increases and the countries go to a sustainable model. So, in your view, how you see this patent policy working out in future if such companies start going in open sources?
Let me tell you, as far as many companies do it, it is done selectively. Some generic capability is increasing. Next time, production takes place out. So you vendor capacity to increase, supply to increase. Therefore, you do it, and that is not done across the board. Company portfolio, which they feel will not be valuable in long term to them, and where they want to diffuse so that they benefit out of it. It is never going to be a generic policy across the world. Tesla is not going to say all our patents are free. Selected. Pharma industry does it when they find those molecules which they have researched and they have not driven benefit. So, as a PR exercise, they say, okay, these patents are free, we are leaving it. There was a time tax laws permitted you a company donated those patents to universities to do further research and claim the tax benefits. Unlikely going to be a general policy. Any other question?
Yes, sir. I am Ajay Chaudhary. I would like to ask you one question. Suppose I have an idea to develop an application, and that application requires 10 patents from different peoples, which are
Yes.
published, and they are within the limit. That means within 20 years. Suppose I have decided to manufacture my application on a large scale, then what should be my strategy, or what should be my duty toward these 10 peoples, so that I can seek their permission? Is there any way to me to apply their patented material, patented knowledge in my manufacturing? So what is the Indian procedure to apply such a knowledge in the production?
There's no Indian procedure. You basically have to approach those companies and seek a license. Now, depending upon what technology it is, what product it is, they may license you, they may not license. They say, buy these components from us, because from a government perspective, there is no procedure. It is a free trade, so you just go to companies, take a license, pay them their fees or royalties, whatever you agree upon. And this is
So
standard practice. Your mobile phone has thousands of patents belonging to different companies. So sometime in a certain product areas, companies join hands and create what is called patent pools. So anybody who wants to enter that area just goes to one designated representative who manages the whole patent pools. So you enter into agreement, pay a royalty to a single company, and they in turn share amongst themselves whatever they have contributed to the pool. So depending on your product technology and what patents you are looking, you can do that.
thank you, sir.
Welcome.
So one question from my side, as I have gone through the database of all the participants, most of the participants are from the MBA colleges, management colleges. I just
Okay.
would like to management institutes.
Okay.
Is it? I just would like to question you regarding that. What are the patents, facilities, or the provisions available in the management institute? Because whatever products we have as a management faculties, we have just like a robust framework, the conceptual models, kind of things, the statistical data analysis and all. But is there any provision to have a patenting in that one?
See, what is called a business method patents? Business methods are permitted in the US. We do not permit. So if you ask me what a business method is, if I tell you an example, you will laugh. You go to a shopping mall, buy two, one is free, is a business model. And the US has such ridiculous patents. So a few years back, there was a patent on the hedging of securities, and somebody went to the court, challenged, case went right up to the US Supreme Court. The US Supreme Court told the US Patent Office to draw some strict guidelines and not to grant such ridiculous patents. But business patents are freely granted in US, and in our law we have clearly granted business method patents. That is the situation. But we have another provision that falls into what is called